Hey guys, welcome back. If you guys like scary stories, true crime stories, just creepy stories in general, make sure you guys like and subscribe to this channel. Leave a comment in the comment section for me below if you guys have suggestions or just any tips. Fairly new channel here, but we're trying some new content here. So let's jump right into it, guys. On November 10th, 1986, a teenager broke the lock on her bedroom window and proceeded to jump out of that window. She landed into the driveway. She got up and ran to the nearest house. She beat it on the door, boom, 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 but no one answered. Her heart beating through her chest, she kept running. She saw 3 more houses. She tried all 3 of those houses, boom, 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 knocking on the door, but still no one answered. Wearing only black leggings and a singlet, she found a vacuum cleaner shop with a man standing outside the shop. Hysterical, she pleaded with the man, "I've been violated, please help me. Please take me inside and call the police, please. And if a woman comes here saying that I'm her daughter and that we've been in a fight, do not believe her. Please do not believe her. Don't let her see me. Please take me to the police." The man took her to the police station. As it turned out, there had been several accounts of young women coming up missing in this area of Perth in 1986. And all too often, they would hear the phrase, "I've got the munchies," before a terrible sequence of events would occur, like the unsuspecting waiting bird being snatched up by the sinister crocodile. These predators would lure its prey into its lair just by simply offering rides. This is the story of Catherine and David Birnie, a pair of Australia's worst serial killers. On November 9th, Kate Moyer, 17 at the time, was hitchhiking along the Sterling Highway after a Sunday night of drinking with her friends. She was very, very drunk, and she accepted a ride from a seemingly nice-looking couple. So this couple actually drives her to her home, but when she tries to get out, she notices that the door doesn't have a handle. She can't get out of the car. She begins to panic a little bit, like, what's going on here? She can sense something's wrong. And just then, David Birnie pulls a knife out of his Ugg boot and holds it to her neck. She asks, "Are you gonna hurt me or kill me?" And David Birnie responds, "We're only going to SA you if you cooperate. Then we'll let you go." And Kate would recall later that she did hear Catherine Birnie mention something to the effect of, "I've got the munchies. Do you got the munchies?" This was their secret sign that they have found their next victim. So this couple then takes Kate to Moorhouse Street. There she's quizzed about who she is, her background, her life, they make her take a shower, they make her smoke cannabis, and then they make her watch movies with them. It's really bizarre. She was also made to dance to the Dire Straits song Romeo and Juliet in front of the Birnies. So just really bizarre stuff going on here. In an interview in 2017, she stated that she had a 200% chance of dying and only a 5% chance of actually surviving this, is what she thought in her mind. In midnight that night, the same night that she was captured, David Birnie assaulted her just that night after midnight. At the same time, Catherine Birnie would sit there and watch him do these assaults on Kate, and she would take notes. Just really, really weird stuff. And then during that night, she was given a pen and paper, and they made her write goodbye notes to her family and friends. Not sure the reasoning behind that. And then they would make her shower again, and then they would assault her all over again and kind of repeat that process. And then later on that night, David Birnie actually handcuffed her foot to his foot. He gave her some pills and told her to go to sleep. But Kate, being smart, she was thinking, "I'm not taking these pills." So she actually just hid them under her tongue, pretended like she took them, and then she actually hid the pills under the mattress later on. She figured, if I take these pills, I'm never gonna wake up and I will not see my family again. I won't be alive. So the next morning, she gets up and the Birnies tell her, "Hey, call your family and tell them you just got too drunk, you had too much to drink, but you're okay. This way, no one's looking for her, no police." Katie was hoping that her family would kind of like, "Hey, this isn't like me." get, hopefully that they would still send someone to look for her. But her family just said, okay, and didn't actually, they weren't alarmed at first. And David Birnie told her while she's on the phone, if you try anything, you try to get a message to them, I will kill you like the others. So now this is Monday morning. So she was kidnapped on that Sunday night. This is that Monday morning. So David Birnie, who's known as some kind of like model employee, he heads up and goes into work. By him leaving, Kate thought, oh, maybe I have a chance of actually getting out alive, because now she only has to deal with Catherine since David's at work. So again, Kate being super smart, she was trying to find a way to kind of, leave evidence behind at this house, just in case if something did happen to her, and if there was ever a question and they're ever questioned, she can leave some kind of clue behind. She took her lipstick out and she actually wrote a note with her name and number on it and hid it in the house so that if police ever were to come by and question them, they would know that she was actually there and a victim of the Birnies. So Catherine was kind of strange. She would kind of hang out with these girls and whatever. Kate was trying to make her feel real comfortable and hang out with her and almost trying to act like they're friends kind of thing. So Catherine got sloppy. She kind of let her guard down. So there was actually a knock at the door. And during this time, Kate was not secured with these chains anymore. She wasn't chained up. So Catherine went to go answer the door after she heard a knock. I believe someone was there doing a drug deal actually. So she was expecting this person. So she did not chain Kate back up when she went to go answer the door. And Kate knew this was her chance to get free. So the teen went to the bedroom window, smashed the lock, opened the window, and jumped out onto the driveway and just hauled ass out of there. And this is the point where Kate found the man at the vacuum repair shop or the vacuum cleaner shop, and he took her to the police station. Kate then told the Fremantle police about her ordeal and where she's been at. She told them all about these sex-crazed murderers and how they had her in her house and they had her, call her parents and do all this strange stuff. And she told them about the clues that she left in the house for proof that she was there and that this crazy stuff was happening. And then she described the Birnies to the police officer. She said David had this really unusual long nose, almost like a hook. And Catherine was this mean looking, just had a permanent evil frown, I guess resting bitch face is what we call it now, high cheekbones, and just this real miserable looking lady. So when the officers arrived at 3 Moorhouse Street, there was nobody home actually. And then when Catherine Birnie arrived back at her house, the officers arrested her, and then the officers went to David Birnie's workplace and actually took him into custody as well. In total, the Birnies had 5 victims, ranging between the ages of 15 and 31. And the first was Mary Frances Nielsen. She was 22 years old. She was lured into the Moorhouse in 1986 while she was out shopping for tires. David basically saw her. He felt like that was going to be his next victim. So he walked up to her and basically told her, hey, I can get you a better deal on tires. Come back to my house and we'll get you a better deal. We'll get you a cheaper, shop around and get you a cheaper deal on those tires. She agreed and she went back home with David. She was then chained to the wall almost immediately and they did the unspeakable to her. The second victim was a 15-year-old, Susanna Candy. She was walking home after working a part-time job at a restaurant, and the Birnie saw her walking, and again, Catherine said, hey, I got the munchies. Do you got the munchies? And they pulled over, and they saw this 15-year-old girl, and they offered her a ride home. They looked like a regular, normal couple, so Susanna being 15, she said, hey, they look nice enough. She accepted the ride they offered, and immediately David pulls out his knife, holds it to her throat, and says, you're coming with us. So they take her home, and they chained her to a bed, and they had their way with her. And the third victim was 31-year-old Noelle Patterson. Her car had broken down, and the Birnies came to her rescue, so she thought. And this was interesting because she actually knew the Birnies. So she's actually, she knew David, she knew Catherine. They actually helped her paint her walls. just a couple weeks prior. The Birnies then chained her to the wall and they assaulted her as well. This one's interesting because Catherine was jealous of this woman. This woman was kind of like, she was real beautiful, high class, and David liked her. So David actually liked this one. So Catherine really just hated her, and she kind of pushed David to end her life because David was kind of stalling and he didn't want to actually, seemed like he almost didn't want to actually kill her. So Catherine kind of took those matters into her own hands to get that done. And then later on, after the police uncovered her body, actually, Catherine would spit on her grave, and she really just despised her. She really hated her personally. And the fourth victim was 21-year-old Denise Brown. She was standing outside of a payphone after leaving a local tavern. And again, the friendly couple came to offer her a ride and say, hey, do you need a ride home? It's not safe out here. Come with us, we'll get you home nice and safe. And again, as soon as she gets in the car, David pulls that knife out of the Ugg boot and puts it to her neck and says, you're coming with us. And she was chained to the wall. And again, the same process. She was assaulted again and subsequently murdered. So that was 4 total victims that they abducted, assaulted, and killed. The 5th being Kate Moyer, 17-year-old. She was the one that got away. She alerted the police and put an end to all this. So I just wanted to talk about the interrogation process when it came to these two. So again, after Kate got out, the police went to 3 Moorhouse Street and arrested the Birnies, right? One of the interesting things that I thought as far as the interrogation goes, so they interviewed them in separate rooms, which that's not uncommon. That's actually what they typically do. You split you up, you go in different interrogation rooms, but none of them wanted to give up any information. So they're pretty quiet and tight-lipped about the whole thing. David Birnie, obviously, he's going to try to spin this in his favor. He says that the young girl willingly came with them, wanted to smoke marijuana, and she consented to having sex with him. The interviews kept going, stretched into the late afternoon. And then finally, one of the detectives said, hey, David, it's getting late. It's getting dark out. Just show me where the bodies are so we can go dig them up. Like, quit with all this rigmarole and all this round and round. Just tell me. And to that detective's surprise, David just finally says, okay, yeah, there's 4 of them. And then once Catherine heard that David broke his silence, then she began to talk. And then the detectives decided that they would round up David and Catherine and they would let them take them around to point to where these bodies are. And that's exactly what they did. They all piled into a car and the Birnies told the detectives where the bodies were buried at. And November 12th, the Birnies were charged with 4 counts of murder, 2 counts of assault, and 1 count of deprivation of liberty. A hearing was held on February in 1987. Both Birnies pled guilty to their crimes. Justice Alkin Wallace sentenced David Birnie to life in prison, and he stamped his record to never be released. The judge remarked that each of these horrible crimes were premeditated, planned, and carried out cruelly and relentlessly over a comparatively short period. He should never, ever be let out of prison, end quote. Catherine Birnie received the same sentence, but was given a term that would make her first eligible for parole in 2007, which is, I don't get why she would even get the opportunity to be paroled. That's so insane to me. When it was over, Catherine Birnie was actually dragged out of the courtroom screaming. So they dragged her kicking and screaming out of the courtroom. And she was like spitting at people and spitting at the van. But ultimately they got her in the van and they took her up to the Bandia prison. And at the same time, when David Birnie was being escorted out, everybody in the crowd was screaming at him and just spitting at him and whatnot. And he just basically, being a jackass, smartass, he blew them a kiss. Horrible fucking people, just horrible people. Anyway, guys, that was it. This is kind of a quick story, but if you guys like that and want to see more stories, if you have recommendations, make sure to leave a comment in the comment section below. hit that like button and please subscribe because we got some more good stories coming your way. Hoping to improve and reinvest back in this channel and get some better hardware and stuff for you guys. But anyway, guys, be safe, be good.